Welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast, the podcast for those that are curious about what's possible inside their four walls. Before we get into this episode, let's hear a word from our sponsors that make this all possible. How healthy is the storage in your warehouse? Have you ever walked the aisles looking for rack damage, empty pallets, or hanging pallet wrap? I know I've spent too much time doing that in my ops career. Now, there's a better answer from Dextery. Storage Health is their AI-powered check that runs with every robot scan that can detect damage, safety hazards, and hygiene issues across your warehouse at every height. Think damaged racking, pallet defects, tipped items, hanging shrink wrap, or damaged goods. Easily detected and alerted by Dextery's AI-powered platform while their robot scans your aisles. Stop missing these critical ops items and put Dextery's Storage Health to work for you at Dextery.com. That's DEXORY.com. Thank you to our sponsors, and now let's get to the podcast.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast here at Modex 2026, and we are in the A Hall here now, and we are at Anantak's booth, and we're going to learn a little bit more about what they're showing from an autonomous perspective on a stacker here, and also a tugger that is working in unison together. And I'm going to be talking to Michael Lawrence. He's going to tell us a little bit about their company and also the demo they're showing here and some of the challenges that they're solving within operations as well. So, Michael, how's everything going?
Things are going well. It's been a great, busy show.
Good to hear. It's been a great show, and definitely, very interested to learn about this. You guys are a little newer to the market, right?
So we've been around for about 11 years.
Okay.
We chose a different path than most. We didn't go the kind of Silicon Valley investment route.
Sure.
We decided to try to figure out the solution to the problem. We started in our founder's garage, actually having like a little dongle you could put in your pocket, and you'd have a robot that would follow you around. Turns out that's not a very useful product commercially. And so we quickly pivoted to tuggers.
Okay.
And the idea is that the material handling space is a really good one. It's a fairly well-defined environment. That we can come in and they have like operational rules and certain expectations about what they need to move, which is a really good fit for autonomy that thrives with that kind of structure. And so we pivoted to those tuggers. We've been doing that for about 7 years now.
Okay.
Our big differentiator is that we focus very hard on developing the technology that is ours and not worry so much about the other parts and use partners for that. So, for example, we started very early with a company called Dane Technologies. We're very proud to work with them.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right now, you can see the Motrek branded tugger and the Task branded forklift. And then we also have a Big Joe pallet jack that we work with. But we work in concert with them, and we're very proud to work with them. Yeah. And then we also go through then their dealer channels or some other dealer channels, do direct sales to build out the solution. But what's different from us versus a lot of other companies, when we started pursuing the warehouse autonomy, we didn't want to just think that we could build the perfect widget and then we'd sell 1 million of them tomorrow.
Yeah.
We knew that it was a difficult problem to solve. It's not just attaching a bunch of sensors and computers to existing industrial vehicles.
Yeah.
It's really about making sure that we can get it to work in their environment. So the main motivation for us to build the fleet manager wasn't as much to coordinate our fleet, although it does that. It was to make sure that we could actually see if these were being used.
Okay.
If they weren't being used, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
So is there something broken? Can we come and fix it? How do we help you service them and make sure it's running? Or is it just not working in your operational process?
Yeah.
And so we've done things like we have a little Firefly device, which is an audio visual box that can connect up to 8 other different devices, call buttons, traffic lights, that really operationalize the solution and not just, it goes a little bit step beyond the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, and obviously interesting to hear kind of a little bit of different path that you took there, right? And obviously interesting to see the demo here too as well. So I'm curious. I mean, as people have been coming to the booth, and we're recording this now on day 3 of Modex, right? So I imagine you've had some traffic at this point, right?
Yeah.
So what have been some of kind of the reactions or the questions or even some of the challenges that people have been coming to you with?
Sure. So unsurprisingly, most people are very focused on pallet movement on forklifts and seeing how it works. We believe we are showing the first ever exhibit where 2 autonomous vehicles are actually interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And so they're very interested in that kind of a thought of how can we have a forklift interact with a tugger and have the forklift for lifting and the tugger for tugging instead of having a forklift drive 1,000 feet to go somewhere else. But in general, it's just understanding what their current processes are. So people ask about cold storage, can it transition from hot to cold? And there is a condensation question there.
Sure.
We haven't answered that at a customer site. We're interested to do so. They're asking about various weight capacities and other things for their environment, all very standard. What a guiding philosophy for us is that we don't impose ourselves on the customer environment. So we don't require any sort of infrastructure adjustment. We don't need magnetic tape on the ground or those April tags or QR code looking things on the walls. We go into very brownfield environments. And so we're not asking the customer to change their operational process.
Yeah.
Some of it will change because autonomy is different than manual.
Yeah.
But we're trying to use the same vehicles they're using. We're going to travel the same routes that they're traveling. We're going to have the same people involved of loading, unloading the trailers and whatever they need to do. We're just making this piece of it, the material movement piece, autonomous.
Yeah. Very interesting there, and interesting to hear. You don't need the magnetic tape on the ground or those April codes as you mentioned. So tell us a little bit about the technology then. I guess that's driving this, and how is it navigating throughout the operations? Yeah.
So as you can see on the vehicles, we have a what we call the Erie. It's a control panel that goes on top, and that's our standard way of interfacing with existing industrial vehicles.
Yeah.
It has a large automotive grade lidar on the top that can see up to 200 meters. So I like to point. It'd be hard for your viewers to see this, but we have a wall pretty far away on the other side.
Okay.
And it can see that wall.
Oh, interesting.
We have the 4 dome lidars.
Yeah.
All of these are his high. We're proud to partner with them as well. That can look up and down and see the front, side, left, right, and so can see the full profile of the vehicle. And we take all that stuff, and we also don't use ROS. It's another major differentiation for those kind of nerdy among us, myself included. ROS is a robotic operating system. It's a platform that most other robotic vendors use to coordinate all of their components. We don't use that. And because we don't use that, because we write some of our own drivers, we do some other things, we're able to process, I think, more data than anyone else right now.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain of that claim, but I feel pretty confident in it. And you can see on that video screen in the background, the data cloud that's generated in real time. We're able to process those 5 lidars. We have 2 safety lidars as well on the ground. And then we have some depth cameras. And we fuse all that together in real time to navigate the vehicles in their environment. So they do it in real time. I would say something like the Tugger, one thing that's a little bit unique or not as standard is that it follows its own lane. So it thinks in terms of these like lanes in a road, but we put like breadcrumbs around the facility, nothing actually external, but within the brain of the vehicle. And it follows that. We can configure various parameters based on those breadcrumbs. So speed limits, we have a safety ellipse that can be dynamically adjusted through the facility, or other things that might be relevant to you, sun zones and things like that.
Yeah, very interesting, and very interesting to hear, how it's navigating too as well. And we can kind of see the visualization there on the smaller screen, right, of kind of what's seeing in the environment, and the ability to, like you said, you can't see the wall here, but the wall all the way on the other side. I mean, that's pretty powerful to be able to have that type of vision depth, right, from the autonomy itself. So tell us a little bit about kind of the demo that we're seeing here, and maybe also like, why is this kind of the workflow that you chose to showcase here?
So we wanted to show something that was difficult to do, that's a little bit unique. Yeah. And so, as I mentioned, it's that vehicle-to-vehicle interaction. Others that have had a forklift interacting with a tugger or one of the platform AMRs do so through some sort of third-party interface, some like a riser or a stand that one unit will interact with and then the other unit will interact with.
Yeah.
We're having the tugger drive around, so it's changing each time. There's position alterations that are we have to track and be aware of. And then the forklift will then interact with that by placing the load onto the actual cart of that tugger. We think this is useful because, again, we can get the forklifts lifting and the tuggers tugging.
Yeah.
But it also demonstrates that it's not a hard extension from this to see that we could do a milk run with the tugger. We can do any sort of racking with the forklifts.
Yeah.
We can do ground-to-ground transportation. We can obviously lift it up into a conveyor because we can be dynamic in that way. And so we felt this was a fairly simple, tight space. Again, we're still a bit of a startup. We don't have all the money in the world. to demonstrate these two vehicles interacting with one another. And then on our big screen, we're demonstrating our pallet jack and our other tugger to show the full suite of products that we have for offer.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, I mean, this is a pretty kind of small enclosed space, right? For this maneuverability to be able to happen.
Yeah.
So definitely impressive to see kind of that interaction between the two units, right? And also pulling off of the second level here of the racking from the stacker itself. So really interesting to see this here and how it's kind of all coming together and they're working in unison as well. So what can we expect for kind of the evolution of this and maybe, you know, what's next for you all?
That's a great question. So tuggers have a limited number of use cases,
Sure.
but forklifts almost feel infinite.
Yeah.
When I first came into the industry, I kind of imagined that we'll just make a forklift autonomous and then it will do all things that forklifts do. But that's not how forklifts work. So if it's a high reach application, if it's double deep, if it's VNA, whatever we can do, we'll find customers that are interested in pursuing this. We do not charge NRE fees or anything like that, but we just want to know that there's someone who wants to buy if we were to develop this additional use case.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's immediately next on our roadmap is to do stacking and do like the 4-point stacking, not just putting one thing on another.
Yeah.
But then we'll be guided. Basically, one of our principles is engineering by experience. It's we want the customer to tell us what is useful for them, and then we will build to that specification on our dime, and then we sell the product that will then be able to meet those needs.
Got it. Okay. All right. Interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing those evolutions and kind of what's next for you all and what the future holds in store. So if people are interested in learning more about you all, what's the best way to do that?
Well, come to our website at anantak.com. Or reach out to me. I'm michael.lawrence@anantak.com. Or, like and subscribe to this video. And
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Like and subscribe. Yeah, definitely. So appreciate the time here, Michael. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well as in the show notes here. So make sure you check them out and check out this autonomous stacker and the tugger working together in unison as we show you the demo.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.